We have Speedy in the studio today.
And we have Eric Cortina in the studio today. Both of us just got back from the Tack Driver. I'll say that Eric was already getting people worried when he didn't show up on Wednesday for or Thursday rather, for the fun match. Everybody thought, especially Jim Klein, thought that he had found an F-class race on the way from Texas to Orangeburg, South Carolina. And he showed up a day late on Friday. I had a prototype scope in my possession that I was going to auction off if he didn't come up, but he made it.
I made it. All right, for those of you wondering what the F1 joke is, last year, all right, this all started when I had Jim on the podcast. And he says, you need to come shoot my match. And I said, okay, let's do it. And he said, well, it's already filled up. There's a waiting list.
I remember.
So he added me to the waiting list. Okay. This went on for months. Never heard anything about it. Never heard from him. Formula One race was in Austin. I had a few friends that we all planned to go. So we got we rented a house in Austin. We bought the tickets and we bought really good seats. So those are not cheap. And it was the same weekend. Well, after we bought the tickets and paid for the house and all that, about 2 weeks later, Jim calls me and goes, hey, I got you a spot. And I go, well, I can't go now. You know, I already committed to this other thing, but I'll be there next year. So that's how that happened.
Right. He immediately called me up and said, hey, your compadre down there south of you, is he scared? I said, I don't think he's scared. He said, well, he just backed out of it saying something about he's going to an F-class or F1 race, you know. Yeah. I said, well, maybe he's a little scared.
So that's what happened. Okay. But
you did redeem yourself this year. You did show up.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think there was any redeeming to be done since it was not my fault to begin with.
Well, you know, he made it sound like that you were scared. But
yeah. Well, I mean, he can say all he wants. He's seen me shoot. A lot of the guys there have seen me shoot because I was at the hog roast the year before.
Right.
I have yet to see him shoot. That's all I'm saying. So
you did extend an invitation for him to come to Texas, didn't you?
Yeah, and he immediately backed out. Yeah. He immediately said, "Nope, that's too far. He says 1,000 yards."
Tell me you have a gun down here.
He can't even drive that far, I don't think. But anyway, he said he's whatever. I mean, we're gonna leave it at that. Okay. Back to you.
Well, this was my second Tack Driver. I said I was like Eric was this time. I was a newbie to the deal, and it takes a little while to figure out how they play that game, you know. So I had prepared all this year based on my poor performance in the group last year to do better in the group. I had my guns shooting really well. The last three groups I shot 300 meters here in Texas were all under half inch, and I knew that was what I needed to do to win out there. I executed everything really well in group. In fact, I was fortunate enough to break Wayne Campbell's record and win the group side of the Tack Driver. Unfortunately, I was so focused on my group shooting. The first time they put up a score target out there, it was like, let's just shoot this thing, get it out of the way so I can get back to group. And immediately just dropped 5 points like a jackass. As soon as I walked off the bench going back to my loading area, you just probably threw $5,000 or $6,000 away by shooting that stupid target like that. And sure enough, that's what it proved to be at the end. I believe I was sixth place in the overall, and it was that one target that killed me.
Yeah, well, as you know, in bench rest, they say you don't win by shooting small groups. You win by not shooting big ones.
Well, if that had been a group, it would have been a monster.
Well, and so it applies the same to score shooting, right? This is a precision sport.
Right.
Right. Now, you shoot strictly precision, which is for group.
Right.
It doesn't really matter where the group is on that target.
Right. It just has to be a good one.
Has to be a good one. For score, you have to be precise and accurate, right? Because you got to put them in the middle.
Right.
So that's the part that got you.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, it wasn't that the conditions were bad or anything. I just purely jackassed it. Like I said, it was that score target was just an obstacle in my way at the second to get to that second group target. And like I said, I just want to get it over with. Didn't even care about the score until I stepped off the bench and realized what a mistake I had made there. So we all make mistakes. So your first Tack Driver, what do you think? It was a little bit tougher than what they say.
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
I want to talk about your group and score.
Okay.
Because that's what makes this match different.
Right.
Typically, you shoot for score or you shoot for group. This one, you have to do both.
Right.
So the mindset is totally different because for group, you just need to put them in on the paper, right? So you have a group target. I have one here somewhere. Yeah, here we go.
100 yards.
Yeah, this is 100, but it's
there's
the
a
same
good
thing.
example of not putting him in the center.
Yeah, so you can see this group. That's a really good group. This is where
183.
You shoot your siders.
Which also, Jim will let you know that S also stands for stupid, which I was on my second target.
And then up here, that's a really good group. Okay? It's not in the center. It doesn't matter. It's a good group. They measure the group, and that's that. However, for score, take this same group, and for score, that would be 5 or 6 points down because that would be all in the 9 ring, maybe one in the 8 ring. Mm-hmm. So that would be a really terrible score.
Yeah, if you move that group into the center, you'd have 5 X's.
You could have had somebody that shoot a group twice the size scattered in this circle in the middle, and it would beat this one that's tiny off to the side. So that's the difference, score versus group. So the mindset's totally different. Here's another one.
Yeah, another good group, smaller than the first one.
Yeah. Either way, the mindset's different. How? Well, again, that one we already discussed. Shoot 5, put them as close to each other as possible. You're done. Doesn't matter where they land.
Right.
And score.
Well, I used to shoot score.
You shoot at 5 different targets.
Right.
You don't shoot them all at the same target. Right. You have a sighting target on the bottom.
Right, the bottom right.
And then you have 3 on the side and 2 on top.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Correct.
And then you shoot 1 shot at each target, which means you have to keep moving. It's not like this one where you just aim one time if you have a really good tracking gun. This one, you have to keep changing your point of aim.
Right. And another thing about those targets that a lot of the score shooters will attest to is that your point of aim changes as you start raising your gun in the bags, and that crossover is another potential loss of a point because you put your gun in a bind, and then as soon as you shoot that shot in that crossover, you lose it off to the side, because your gun's in a bind and it wants to follow its original track. So, and when I used to shoot for score, I mean, the golden rule or the unforgivable sin was to drop a point, because there's no, as you know, in F class, you're just praying for somebody else to drop one once you drop one.
Right.
In group, we can bear down and come back and shoot a smaller group to offset one that was potentially devastating to us. Where in score, like I said,
because it's an average game, right? Score, group is an average game.
Correct.
Score is an absolute.
Yeah.
Once you drop a point.
Yeah, that's why I said the unforgivable sin is to drop a point, and I did 5 unforgivable sins right off the bat. I was on my way down to hell with that one.
Yeah, well, so that's what makes this match interesting. Now, the other thing is it's done at 300 meters, which is not a yardage that anybody shoots. Like, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
We
don't shoot. I mean, they shoot it in Europe, but not here in the States.
But yeah, so here in the States for typically 100 and 200.
Right.
Is that the same for the score guys?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have any 300-meter matches other than it's kind of like a fun shoot like we did out there. Just that little extra distance makes it a little bit more difficult than what we're used to shooting.
Well, not only that, were we not shooting a 200-yard score?
Yeah, we were shooting 200-yard score targets at 300 meters, so the bull was smaller.
Yeah.
So typically your bull would be 1 MOA, so it'd be a inch and a half at 300.
What, at 300 be 1 MOA?
Yeah.
It'd be 3.3 inches.
I'm sorry, half MOA.
Oh, it's half MOA?
Yeah. So that's a half MOA. You got a 1/2-inch spool on that one.
Right.
So just.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short is you dropped 5 on that one.
Yeah. How many did Eric drop on his first one?
3.
3?
Yeah.
Oh, braggart.
Yeah. You asked. It's not good either.
Yeah, either. Yeah.
Okay, let's clarify. It's not good.
Just because he beat Speedy, it wasn't that good.
It's just less crappy.
Yeah.
But don't worry. So anyway, that's kind of how that went. Now,
it was funny that there was people keeping track of the live scores on Accurate Shooter. And I was getting texts, what happened on that first target? You know, so not only are you getting pressure from the competitors, then you realize that people all over the world are watching what you're doing, you know, and asking you a question, what happened? You know, is your gun not working? Is your load right? I mean, I can get my phone and show you those texts. There's just a pile of them.
Well, that's why I don't check score. Once I'm shooting, and whatever happened. Well, people ask me, how did you do? I said, I didn't win. And I wasn't last.
Yeah,
it was somewhere between those two. I don't know where, right. You know, but it's just one of those deals that. So before I left, I told myself, all right, this is your first one. I have no idea what it's like. I've never shot. I mean, I've shot a little bit of group one time. Mm-hmm. Obviously, F-class is for score, so that's all I do.
Yeah.
However, never done it off the bench. The last time I shot off the bench was when I went to the hawk roast.
Right.
And long story short, I told myself, don't just show up and shoot. Don't and film it. Right. So focus on filming the match.
Mm-hmm. As a competitor, I bet you couldn't do that though.
No, and I'm like, if I go there and try to win, there's gonna be no filming. I mean, I'm gonna tell people that I went to the Tack Driver, but there's going to be no evidence, at least not on my channel, right? So I thought, no, just go cover the match, kind of show people what it's like, talk to the other competitors, and do that. And I mean, I have barrels that are really good that are put away, and I thought about putting one of those on there. However, I asked Jim how many rounds I need. He said between 100 and 125 or so, because I was only going to shoot those 2 days.
All right.
Well, that's about 10% barrel life on my barrels.
Right.
And I thought, man, they're put away for the world championship. I better not do that. Well, my guys went to a TSRA championship, the mid-range championship, and they chambered 2 Claymores.
That's one of the questions I've got from everybody is, what is the Claymore?
We're going to talk about the Claymore. So they chambered 2 Claymores. A Claymore is simply a 7 Creedmoor.
Right.
7mm Creedmoor. That's all it is.
And it's named after.
Yeah. So what happened is I made a 747 a while back, a few years back. I took a 6.5x47 Lapua, necked it up to 7mm, 7x47 or 747, like the airplane.
Right.
Which that's where the Derek Webster saw that, and he started calling me up, getting some data, and he took the 747, made some modifications, put a 40-degree shoulder. He pretty much acclimatized it.
Right.
And that's what's known now as the Sherman, the Swick, the 7 Swick.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, Clay also liked the idea. And the reason they like the idea, we like the idea of 7mm around here, is because I have a lot of barrels that are shot out.
Right.
But they're 32 inches.
So you just cut them off.
You cut off 6 inches off the back. Now you got a 26-inch barrel that's really good, because I know which barrels were really good.
Yeah.
And now you don't have to take a chance. And I also have bullets. I sort my bullets, so there's always a little pile here and there that didn't make the cut. So those go into a little can, right? Well, I thought, instead of wasting all these bullets, I can shoot them, go to a PRS match and shoot all these bullets, and there's no waste. So this is a way for me to use everything. Just use the barrels one more time to the, because in a Claymore or even a 747, they'll go another 3,000 rounds.
Right.
So that's kind of why I did it. Well, Clay kind of liked the idea, because I said, hey, you're welcome to any of these barrels that I have.
Explain to everybody who Clay is.
Yeah. So Clay is my machinist.
Yeah.
And he's a shooter.
He makes these things right here.
You guys have seen him. We're going to talk about that die as well. you guys have seen him on some of the matches. So Clay said, "Hey, well, I shoot a 6.5 Creedmoor. Do you think I could do the same with a 6.5 Creed?" I said, "Absolutely." So I spec'd him out a reamer, ordered him a reamer, and while this whole thing was going on, he didn't know what to call it. So he's trying to come up with a name. And I told him, I said, "You're Clay. It's a Creedmoor. Just call it the 7 Claymore."
Perfect.
And he's like, "I like that." So the name was born. So it's the 7 Claymore.
Yeah.
And it's a very efficient cartridge.
What kind of velocity do you get out? You run the 180s and you say the 184s as well?
Well, preferably I would run the 180s. But again, I have a really good lot of 180s that I didn't want to use.
So you don't have those little piles of the 180s?
Well, not enough.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I got some 184s that I haven't tested. And I don't shoot them in my F-class rifles at the moment. And I thought, you know what? This is a good time to shoot some 184s. So we shot the 184s in the Claymore. Now, because they were doing an F-class match at 600 yards, we didn't worry about pointing bullets or doing it. Just pretty much out of the box, we just sorted them base to tip, nothing else. So this is a pretty minimum effort project for now. Well, when it came, they had just shot the TSRA match. We're back. Well, the next week I'm going to South Carolina, and I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. And I'm like, do I really want to do I want to go try to win? And I thought, well, I better not. I better just, because I'm not going to have fun. I better just go have fun. Well, I decided, oh, you know what? I'll just take one of those Claymores. You know, because I have other barrels for my 7 LBB that are not as good that I could have took. But then I was gonna take my brass out of rotation because it's you probably don't know how it is, but it's weird around here. I got this brass and I keep the rotation and I thought, you know what?
I've got the same thing. It's just not as big a pile as you've got right here. It's in a little box right here.
So I thought, well, I'm just gonna simplify this whole thing. I'll just take one of those Claymores. They shot well enough at 600. I'll take it. Just load up 120 rounds of ammo, 125, and go. Not worry about it. Just go shoot, see what it's like. And that's what I did. I got there. I drove. Took forever to get there. As you know, I got there 30 minutes before they shut down the range.
It was a madhouse getting you on paper.
Yeah.
Yes, you can see in my video.
Yeah. So I simply got on paper, and I thought, all right, I'm ready to go, whatever it is. The next morning, I go out there, and I shoot my first group, and it's like a 1.6. And if I had shot that group alone, like if there was nobody there, and they said, hey, how do you think that 1.6 is going to do? I would have guessed not very well because, with my F-class rifles, like my good barrels, I can shoot under an inch at 300 yards or about an inch. And I thought, well, it's not the greatest, but it's not terrible. I mean, it's sub a half MOA, right?
Right, yeah, when you come back to 100 yards, correct.
Yeah. It's MOA. It's MOA's MOA, right?
So, but did the competitive spirit start coming out of it?
Well, hang on. What I'm getting at is if that was the case where I was just by myself and I had shot that group, I would have been like, well, I'm not devastated. I'm not happy, but I'm not devastated. However, by the time I was relay 5, by the time I shot, I had already been seeing some of the groups that were being shot. Yeah. So when I shot that thing, I thought that thing was this big. It just looked comparatively. It just looked massive. And I thought, oh boy, this is not good. Now, keep in mind, this is the first group I had ever shot out of that barrel because Clay is the one that had been shooting it. I never shot it. The tuner's at 0. There was no tuner. So from there on, it's like, okay, we got to ride the tuner. We have nothing else. Right. So that's what I started doing match after match after match. So...
yeah, I've got a couple of videos there of you getting up and just...
yeah, because that's all I could do, right?
I thought for a minute there that you were going to go stand in front of somebody's rifle and just go ahead and end this right here.
So I thought, okay, well, all I can do is turn the tuner because I had nothing else.
Right.
Now, the other thing is, all the testing we did was here in Texas, 80, 90 degree weather.
There was in the high 30s and low 40s as we started out.
Yeah, in the mornings, it was in the 40s, maybe high 40s, low 50s. So it's cold, right? It's like 40 degrees different. Now, before I left, when I loaded that ammo, I bumped it up 0.2 of a grain. And I thought, well, it's going to be cooler over there. Again, this is Vitavori N150. I shoot it a lot in my 6BR and stuff, but I don't travel with it. I just shoot it around here. And I'm like, I don't know how it travels. So I just took it with me and I just bumped it, the charge 0.2, and there I went. Well, then I started riding the tuner match. And the problem is, it's not like F-Class. F-Class, it's 20 shots. This is only 5.
Right.
It's over real quick, and that's only in the group category. I mean, it's also 5 in the score, but they're not together. They're scattered all over the paper.
Right.
So it's really hard to be able to
judge your tune with the tuner.
Yeah. So anyway, I just started turning the tuner, and the groups kept getting smaller. Shot after shot, it was getting smaller, and then the score targets were getting better. And I thought, okay, I'm getting there. On the last day, I was able to shoot an inch. I shot a group that was an inch. And I thought, okay, I'm there. And that one shot, it could have been smaller. That one shot that went out there, it was my last shot, I believe. The flags turned, and I thought, well, move. So I moved, and I shot. And it still went out there.
Yeah.
So had I not moved, that would have been an 1.5 inch group again.
Right.
So I moved, but I mean, it was flat. I mean, it was tiny.
Yeah.
It elevated, and I thought, all right, I'm there. All right, I'm there. I finally caught up to it. I wrote down my tuner setting, and I was there. But now it's 80 degrees or 75. So then the next morning I come back and I go, oh boy, okay, I got to start over, and I don't know where to start. And
well,
so
it was 39 degrees on Sunday morning.
Yeah. So then it's all over. It's all over. Like, okay, now I have a tune for 80 degrees, which is pretty close to where I was at home. But now I have
only 40 degree different. What the heck?
Yeah. So the next morning, pretty much the process started all over again. Well, then I started getting greedy, and I thought, well, let me go more, because I never went past that setting. Let me go more, and then it started blowing up again.
That's when you had all that vertical.
Yeah, then it got because it was real wide, and then I said, I'm gonna go, and I went more, and it just got real tall, and like, and it's now the other thing. There's a lot of mistakes that were made. I didn't have enough ammo. I found out.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really do many siders and test a tuner. I could only do 1 or 2 siders, because I started off with a lot of siders.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, all that to tell you this.
You forgot the match where you went and forgot to seat your bullets.
Well, that's that.
That was a good one.
Well, that's back to why I shot so many siders. Like I said, mistakes were made. There was a match where I forgot to seat my bullets.
Yeah.
I had 4. I only had 4. Anyway, a lot of mistakes were made. But all that to say this: as I kept shooting and I kept riding the tuner, and then all of a sudden the rifle's coming into tune. Now I'm shooting, 1 inch groups. I'm shooting scores of like 48, 49. Things are looking good.
Yeah.
Then it hit me. And then you've been there before, where I go, why didn't I get ready? Why did I drive all the way out here and not show up? And I kept having to remind myself, it's like, hey, you planned this. This was the plan, is to not compete. And it was fine as long as I wasn't competing. It wasn't until I was kind of in it, and I'm tuning, and I'm kind of troubleshooting, and I'm kind of battling the elements and the target, and I'm bringing the rifle in tune. And then I start thinking, well, what if I would have done this ahead of time, and I would have started with the 1 inch group and then rode it from there, and then all of a sudden the regret sets in of why didn't I get ready? What makes me think I can show up here, try to not compete and have fun? I'm not that. Anyway, it was a tough moment. And it's just hard. I remember, I wish I could do that. Where I would go to a match and just have fun.
Yeah.
And now I try, and man, if I'm not shooting well,
as a competitor, it's hard to do that. It's hard to get that competitive nature once you've ingrained it in yourself. You know, I mean, it's just like a predator. You know, this is what you do. You know, and when you try to be the lamb out there, it's hard to be the observer just having fun. I did the same thing. I did that video at David Park's, and so I had a rough week. Everybody wanted their stuff before I left over there. I got a match. I got to have this barrel. I got to have this tuner put on, blah, 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 blah. And so I was dead tired, and I didn't really want to drag all my stuff out there. I said, I'll just go over to Dave's and do that video for him, you know, to describe that new range and all that he's offering to the public. And I said, just like you were just thinking, I said, you know, I've been working all this year for this match. I said, it's stupid for me not just to suck it up and drag my stuff out there. 'Cause you see all the stuff that we take out there. You know, it's like half the shop. So take it out there, unload it, set it up, shoot, and come back and load it all back up, bring it into the shop, and knowing that 3 or 4 hours later we're getting up and having to reload it again into the trailer, you know.
Right.
So, you know, it's just it's hard to be competitive and not do what you're supposed to do, and then knowing that you're going to pay the price for not doing it later, you know.
Yeah. Well, the problem that I had was that when I left, I made a video where I said, hey, there's 3 types of competitors. 1 that just goes and has fun. 2 that gets ready to compete, and 3, 1 that gets ready to win. You were getting ready to win. And that's typically what I do when I go to a match. Yeah. And I thought, well, this one I'm going to try to be somewhere between 1 and 2. You know? And it was fine until it just hit me, and I go, why? You know, and of course, there's a lot of people there that never met me before, and they're coming up to me and they're like, hey, nice to meet you, which is nice. That was the main purpose of going to this match, is meet new people, and just have fun. Man, and then it hit me, like, why didn't I freaking get ready? Yeah. But hey, well, I got over it, and now next year, you know, it's the year. Yeah.
Well, I think that's why when you see people like Tony Boyer and Wayne Campbell and some of the other guys who, when they go to the Nationals, they're still set on kill. You know, they're already into the Hall of Fame. All those extra Hall of Fame points that really don't mean nothing other than just additional to you know, to show that you're a world-class competitor, you know. Right. But, you know, they go every year with that same attitude, you know. And like I said, you know, before it was Tony Boyer that was guarding the gates to the Hall of Fame, and now you've got his protege Wayne out there, you know. So
yeah. So anyway, so that's what that was like. Now the match itself, incredible. I loved it. The food, I tell you what, man, you feed me, I'm there.
Yeah, the food was great. Prime rib was pretty shiny.
Yeah. The match, everybody was nice, but my goodness, you can tell who, like you said, who's on kill mode. Yeah. They go shoot, and they beeline back to their bench. Yeah. They get all their stuff ready, and then they clean the rifle, they load their ammo,
right back,
and then right back to the bench. And there's not much talking in between. They're there to do a job. Once the last shot is fired for the day, then they become social.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's difficult, especially like somebody like myself that has all their stuff spread out there. Everybody wants to see what you're using, what you're doing, what powder, how much, you know, primers, bullets, bullet seating depth, neck tension, everything you've got there constantly coming by looking, you know. So it's a distraction that you have to learn to overcome, you know.
Yeah, and I know I probably was pretty distracting with a camera over your shoulder. Now, he talked about all the stuff he does there. I filmed pretty much your entire reloading process there, so I'm gonna put that for the forum. So if you're not subscribed to the forum, you might want to get over there, because I'm gonna put his full reloading series over there that he did at the Tack Driver, right, when he won the group category. Now, let's talk about, because we've said that you won. We haven't said what your groups were like.
Well, I mean, the biggest group I shot was 801, I think it was, you know, and the rest of them, I learned last year that trying to shoot too small a group was kind of detrimental to the overall aggregate, because the conditions really weren't there to to try to finesse them in there, shoot a little tiny group, So this year I just kind of followed my standard group shooting philosophy is don't worry about shooting little tiny ones, just don't shoot that big monster one, Brett had one big devastating one. He was the other F-class shooter from Michigan, Brett Solomon. And my buddy, Kevin Love, he was right there in the top 5, and then with an 1.8, he destroyed his whole weekend,
He shot an 1.8?
Yeah. He had 4 in there, probably about a 5, And if he'd have got anything under an inch, he'd have been right there in probably the top 3.
He shot a 1.8 group?
1.8. One shot sitting there like a big
Kevin,
shot.
I mean, brother, I didn't even shoot one that big.
With that Claymore, yeah. Well, I mean, it was devastating, when you worked.
I can imagine. Now okay, Kevin, that was a joke, and you're probably still thinking about that one shot because you can put 99 shots into a 0 group, and it's the one that makes it a
correct
0.3 that you're gonna think about. Same thing in F class. You can shoot a 5. I've shot a 5.99. I still remember that 1.9.
Mm-hmm. It's just that one line. Well, Gary Costello just lost the European, but one shot out.
Yeah.
All year long he was going for that championship again and lost it with one shot.
Yeah, all it takes is one. But yeah, it's it can be such a cruel sport because of that. I mean, you get judged by the worst shot,
right?
Like those other 24 that he shot,
don't matter.
They don't matter as much. It's just that one that they judge you by.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I tell all of my customers, especially the ones who truly want to be competitive. There's some guys, and there's nothing wrong with it. They want to shoot with their friends, and afterwards go out and have a burger and complain about their poor shooting that day, but they're perfectly happy. they like the beauty of their guns and the tinkering and reloading and all that stuff. A lot of times it fills their time in retirement, and then there's the other people like you and me that we're obsessed with this thing. We go to bed thinking about it. I mean, sometimes if I have an idea, I just get up and go to the shop and work on it because otherwise I'm going to be awake just thinking about it,
Right.
And I've heard you say that once you wake up, might as well just get up and go do it,
Yeah.
Laying around, it doesn't do any good,
No. So, so that's the problem with what we do, especially in group like you do, there's no limit. There's no,
we're trying to refine this again, and when we get back, we're thinking about what can we refine. So I mean, that's
like, for example, let me ask you, and I want you to be 100% honest.
Okay.
With all of us, were you happy about that 0.67 ag?
No.
That's the problem.
No, I mean you can ask Mark on the way back after we had slept a little bit and the BART line opened up. I was already on the phone with him, talking about barrels for next year, and getting ready.
Because you agged a 0.67 something aggregate, broke the record, all of the above.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there was a group or two in there. That 0.8, you probably
0.8. It should have been. There was 4 of them just and nothing. It should have been like a big 3 or a little 4,
Yeah, in F class, I remember when, I was chasing that 200. I want to shoot a 200 at 1,000 yards.
Right.
And when I finally got it, it was a 210X.
Yeah.
So, of course, I was excited. And then I go, man, only 10Xs.
Yeah. Well, we all have barriers that we have to come across. And once we break it, then we realize that we broke the barrier, but that there's still something lacking. It wasn't a 220X.
Well, it was a self-imposed barrier, right? It was not a game-imposed barrier,
right?
Which the game itself doesn't have a barrier, which is precisely the freaking problem.
Exactly.
Like, you can't say, well, my gun shoots, you agged a 0.2 MOA,
Correct.
0.2 MOA at 330 freaking yards, 300 meters.
But they say that's statistically impossible.
Yeah, well, those guys shoot big groups. That's the thing, right? So that's kind of where I'm going with that. It's you know, and I'll talk about the because I've had Jaden and Litz and them, and I appreciate what they do, right? Mm-hmm. They test a lot, but they test. In my opinion, they're testing the ammo. I don't really know what they're testing. I'm ignorant. But for example, like last time I asked a question, they said, well, 20 shot groups, we do 20 shot groups. And I said, okay, what are you happy with? And I think I heard something like 1.5 inch group at 200. They were happy. And I thought, well, that's
not even acceptable to us.
Well, I shot
600.
I shot at 1.6, and it gave me, for day one, I got the biggest freaking group of the day at 300 meters.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it's fine for them. It's sub MOA. Sub MOA is good. It's not bad. But for us, it's like, no,
right.
We need way less than that.
Well,
and the question is, how much less? As much less as possible, and there's no barrier.
And there again, they're doing that in a laboratory where the environmentals are pretty constant and all that, So they don't have the environmental changes that we have, where that barrel's getting hotter, or even in the morning, when that temperature is 39 degrees, that barrel's not as long as it is when it's 80 degrees. So they say, well, that's a tuner doesn't have any effect on it. Bullshit, It does, and there's those temperature changes either from us shooting or the atmospherics out there. You don't do anything about it, you're destined to suffer out there.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like for us, there's no limit. We seating depth, we can change the pressure. For example. After I was driving home, and I think before it was even done, I told you, man, it was really shooting good when it was hot.
Yeah.
Like when it got hot and I had this tuner setting, it was really shooting good. In the morning, it's going to dip again. The speed's going to change. I don't know what the tuner setting's going to be at that.
Right.
And I could have just seated the bullets longer, put them in the freaking lens, increase the pressure, But there was a lot going on that I was like, I kept telling myself, just shoot and have fun.
Yeah.
My goodness, for me, it's really hard to have fun when I'm not shooting well.
With a broken rifle. Let me ask you a question
right?
here.
That's the thing. We keep calling it a broken rifle. Yeah. That rifle never shot over half MOA.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. You know, for us, that's a broken rifle. Right. It's like it was crap.
Yeah.
Because it was. Because, I'm at half MOA. You're at 0.2.
Right.
And yeah, people are going to say, well, that's not that much. Oh, it is. In that group,
you can't give anything away.
It's like, for example, it's like 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
How much? It's nothing, right? Well, look at the 100-yard dash against Usain Bolt. The guy that ran a second slower than him is way. It's a lot. It's so it
tenths
depends.
of a second is a distance.
Yeah. So what in the stuff that we're doing, my goodness, those 0.3 of an MOA is just light years.
So
different.
without giving any of John Mayer's secrets away, if you had gone with a tuned rifle and you needed to tune, just speaking of what would you have done with your tuner when the temperature went up? Would you have typically gone out when it goes up or come in?
Well, in my tuner, with my tuners, the latest ones, as the temperature goes up, you go up in the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to say, well, how much? Well, it depends how much the temperature changed and how your load is and your barrel length. And that's what I tell people. You got to map out your tuner on your own. There's no set. It's not a universal.
Right.
Right.
It's not go up 3 when the temperature goes up 10. You know?
No. So you have to map it out. Now,
Right.
this rifle, I told you, I didn't map it out. I didn't do any of that like I would have done with my other rifle. So
Right.
I had no idea. Like I was turning the tuner. I know which direction to turn it. I just didn't know how much.
Right.
And because I only had one shot at it because I didn't have enough ammo,
Yeah, exactly.
I turn it and shoot the group and I go,
To say a little Hail Mary.
yeah. So I would turn it, shoot the group, and I look at the group and like, okay, we're going the right direction.
Yeah.
The groups are shrinking, but we're not there yet. So then the next time I had to shoot, it was for score. So then I turn it and then kind of try to get a mental picture of
What's happening?
what the group would have been like. And then the next one, turn it some more. And like I said, I finally caught up to it. And then the next morning it was cool all over again. It's like, all right, now I don't know how much to go back.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It was and then kind of what I was talking about, I got aggressive and I thought, well, I know it did really good at this setting yesterday. Let me go some more. And then it just went, and I'm like, well, that's too far.
No, we went too far. Yeah. Well, like I said, that was interesting. This time you had a full field of wind flags that you're not used to shooting right there in front of you. You're typically used to seeing way up above you, so, as you notice that range there's no forgiveness in it, and so a lot of times if you look at my video that when Eric's shooting, you see some of the flags out there, you'll see the flags from the bench to the 100-yard. They had some big railroad cross ties going at the different yardages that separate them. You could see the flags going from the shooter towards the target, and then there was a big break up to your left where that air was coming down into that valley. The range is down in a hole,
right?
And it continues to go down a hole the further out you go, and that wind would be coming down that valley, and the flags from 100 yards to about the 200 yard or a little bit plus would be moving left to right, from 9 to 3 o'clock. Then they hit those big tall, what were they, pine trees, whatever those things were out there,
big tall trees. They weren't mesquite.
Yeah, they weren't mesquite trees. They were tall, and it hit those trees, and then it would turn back, So, I mean, a lot of times you look down there, and you'd have 3 different conditions presented in front of you.
Yeah, it got to the point where I was just looking at the last 2 or 3 flags because I could see them. The scope that I was shooting, I could see a lot of the flags. Even at 40 or 50 power, I could see a lot of the flags. I could see about 4, but I would focus on the last 3, and I would just wait for them to 2 things: to go the same direction, and not be spinning like crazy.
Yeah, we'll see it, and there again, those propellers that you see on those the smiley flags that you see that most of the people use out there, especially Pinehard, Campbell, me, some of the other guys out there, Bart. We don't use those propellers for an indication of velocity. You look at them and you can see when the wind picks up and slows down, but they're not balanced or anything, so that those things spinning, a lot of times they'll spin up, and because they're not balanced, once they get to a certain RPM, they just go, and they almost stop spinning, And, but we use those to gauge our vane for angle, If you look at mine, the ones that you were on that same bench, the hub was painted black and the backside was painted orange. So if you're looking at a 3 to 9 or a 9 to 3 wind, you won't see any color on that hub, either orange or black, And if it starts turning to you, you'll start to see that black on that front hub, and that'll give you an indication of what that wind angle is, And if it comes back like this and you start to see orange, well, then you know that you've got a wind coming at you, So black means a wind coming over your shoulder from anywhere from like 315 to 845, and then you'll start to see orange when it starts coming at you. But we use those in conjunction with the tails for angle and velocity. The propellers are there just for judging that.
Typically, I'd be saying, why am I just now finding out about this? But the gun that I brought, I'm not sure how much the wind was going to matter.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was just looking for it to be consistent, and I would just send them.
Yeah. I'm one that likes to shoot those headwinds, and that's what I was looking for. A lot of times it would only present itself one or two times during the course of the match, so I was always prepared, just waiting for that. And so when I shoot the headwind, whether it's either coming at me or going away from me, I'll wait for all my tails. You've got your vertical stand right there, so I use that as my 6 to 12 o'clock point, and I want all my tails to be on one side or other of that stand and be within the stand in the outside diameter of that propeller. I don't want them to go outside of that, when I'm shooting, because, either side of that from about 11:30 to 12, that's about 26% value on the wind, and it's the same with from 12 to about 12:30, that gives you another 26%. Once you get to 1 o'clock or 11, then you've got a 50% value on that wind.
Right.
So, if you screw up on that from 12:30 to from 11:30 to 12:30, you've got over a 50% screw up right there.
Yeah.
So I always look at that as a percentage of doom.
Yeah. Now, what you were shooting a 6 PPC?
Correct.
Bullets. Tell us all about what you were shooting.
Well, I was shooting this little cartridge right here, 6 PPC. I was shooting my own bullets. The ogive on that bullet, the profile bullet, is lovingly known in our sport as a 710.5. I made the dies when I had EDMs and grinders and everything to grind my electrodes and everything back in the 90s there at Doskasill Manufacturing. And that 710.5, when we had one of the first coordinate measure machines other than Bell Helicopter and General Dynamics there in the Metroplex area of Dallas-Fort Worth. And so I would take those bullets and put them on the CMM just like you can, and generate a profile from those things, And there was no straight cylindrical section to the bullet I was wanting to mimic. It was a Uber bullet. Don Geraci, I think I mentioned before, said that shooting Uber bullets at the time was like cheating, and he was exactly correct. So those dies that Ali Uber was using to make those bullets were getting bigger and bigger by the year. The last batch I got from the bullets weren't even 243. They were 244 on the body and 244 3 to 4 on the pressure ring, So it cost me about $52,000 to make my first set of actual working dies. Nobody would tell you how to lap a die in those days, So a lot of times I'd get to the very end and ruin it. But anyway, that's where we got that profile 710.5, So I don't know who else started spreading it around, but we call them double radius because there's no straight cylindrical section to the bullets whatsoever. Pressure ring starts to drop off at the pressure ring, and then into the ogive, it just keeps dropping off. I think that's kind of where
what weight are they?
68.
68
tails.
How fast? Oh, boy, man. All right. Here's the disclaimer.
Watch and learn.
Whatever you're about to hear, if you decide to try yourself, do this at your own risk. Everything you hear here, everything you hear on this podcast and hear me say at any point or Speedy is for educational purposes only. If you decide to do it, it's at your own risk, okay? Go ahead, Speedy.
Okay, well, I said most standard loads for the PPC, people shoot anywhere from about 29 to 30 grains. And without that, going any higher than that, you typically won't run into any big pressure problems. Once you start approaching that 30 grain mark, that's when you'll first start to see your first signs of pressure. With the old Lapua brass, once you start shooting around 30, you would start to see your primer pockets loosen up. And usually after a yardage, which is five shot matches, I would take my brass and just throw it away. And then I get another 20 new pieces of brass for the next shot. I was never going to fight my brass. People would say, well, you're throwing all that brass away? And I said, yeah, but that brass cost me nothing compared to my days off work, my hotel room, my eats, everything else I go through. So that brass, these bullets, the powder, primers, it's inconsequential to the cost of making this trip. You probably know exactly the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So when the Alpha brass came out, and it was just by accident. I noticed that if I was shooting 30.2, 30.4, you start getting that clicker in your bolt. And I always used to go up a little higher, but knowing that I was going to wreck my brass, I just wanted to see one day what happened if I would go beyond that, is if they would start getting those clickers like the Lapua brass did. And at 30.4, the clicker just went away, you know. And 30.6, still no clickers. And so these particular bullets with this particular lot of power, and it could be just that.
Do it at your own risk.
It could just be that lot of powder. So typically I shoot, and when I'm shooting, I'm going to say 29.9 to about 30.2 with the Lapua brass. My velocities were about 33.75 to 34.25. With the 34 grains, start to exceed 3,500 feet per second. At the Tack Driver, you saw it, you'll see it on the video, it says 30.7, and I was going 36.05. So, and I was a little bit surprised, I have to say, because when I talked to Jeff, and I talked to Wayne, and I talked to Mike Connery, who are typically on this side of the 30 grains, they were all shooting below, 30 grains of powder. So I don't know if it was the velocity that helped me. And there's some bullets that won't shoot that fast. Once you get them to past a certain velocity, the accuracy starts to fall off on them. I'm just really fortunate that I can run the velocity and maintain the accuracy. So what can I say? So listen to Eric. If you're going to try this, approach it cautiously. But
just so you know, it's about a grain hotter than everybody else shoots. So be very careful.
Yeah.
Not recommended by me. I don't recommend it. Anyway, talk about your rifle.
Well, this was the backup rifle that I took to the Tack Driver. It's a BAT DS, a right bolt, left port. We blueprinted all the fire control in it, of course.
We've talked about this rifle before here.
Yeah. And this time I've got one of Wayne Campbell's bore rider chambers in it. I've been wanting to try one for about 2 years. I had a customer that came from Australia that had talked to Wayne Campbell at the Super Shoot, the very last one that they held at Kelby's. And Wayne was gracious enough to give him a copy of the bore rider print. JGS made it for him. And anyway, when he went back to Australia, he called me from the airport saying that he couldn't take the reamers back. They wouldn't let him take them back with him on the plane, and that he had to leave them there. And he called me up. He said, "Hey, they said in 1 hour they're going to throw those reamers away. Could you come get them?" So anyway, I came and got them, and they've been sitting in my shop now for about a year. And I've been doing a little experiment for about the last 2 years. Based on some of the podcasts that Brian Zolokov has put on. I don't know if you know him or not. He's one of the witch doctor. He's talking about primer sealing dip, bow lube, and all these things. Some of the things that he said on his podcast seemed plausible to me. But my real name is Thomas, and I'm a true doubting Thomas. If something seems good, I'm going to test it, make sure I'm not leaving anything on the table, kind of like you. And so I've been trying to put a blueprint together of a competitive program, and not just for me, but for my customers. So when I give them a gun like this one, they can take that blueprint, kind of like you've got with your guns. When somebody comes to you and asks you, you say, if you follow this is more likely going to be the outcome. And so that's what I've been trying to do. I've been testing all of these theories, and so I reached, it was 2 years. I've got all the data and everything on a spreadsheet. And I said, I'm putting that together, and it's going to be in written form.
Can I get a copy of that?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
You
mind if I share it with my forum members?
No, I don't care. Right now, I can send it to you right now if you'd like. But it's just, what this one is, I'm going to send you is... here it is, PPC little first stab. So this one right here, I'm just going through my spreadsheets, and I'm picking out all the things that have won.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to send this to you right now.
I will share with the forum members. If you guys are a member on the forum, look for this very soon. I'll put it up there.
I'm going to talk to Cortina about this
And
afterwards. If he wants to make some additions before I rewrite it. I said, this is just...
I will post the bare bones as you gonna give it to me on the forum, and then I'll start a full thread on it, and then we can refresh it as we go, kind of add the newer versions for the members.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me turn airplane mode off.
Oh, be careful.
If it starts ringing, I'm going to turn it right back on. Let me try setting it one more time. I'll do it airdrop.
Okay.
Got it?
I got it.
Okay. I'll tell your members right now, when they read about the primers being seated 3,000ths below the head of the case, that I said, I'm just going by all the winning combinations I had on these 2 years worth of spreadsheet, and the thickness of my primer and the depth of my primer pockets, where the primer just touches the floor of that primer, that just wound up being 3,000ths. So, with your components, you might be, if you touch the primer pocket floor, with your primer, it might be sticking up,
Yeah.
So that was just happened to be the thickness of my primers and my primer pocket depth. That's not saying that you have to seat your primers at 3,000ths below.
Yeah, mine are 4 below on my.
So are you just touching the floor of your pocket? Are you crushing them? Or?
It's about touch plus 1.
Okay, well, that's what I found over 2 years.
Yeah,
that happens to be the best.
Yeah,
just a touch, or maybe in seating them, you crush it maybe half to 1,000ths. It seems like once you get past that, you start getting these crazy flyers going into condition and stuff. So, you can take it from you want, but that, I just want to make that note if you post it when they say, well, Speedy says that you have to steal 3,000.
Yeah, there's another disclaimer, right? Like, these are guidelines. And just like I talked about the tuner earlier, how, it's a guideline, and then you have to fit it to your system. Right? Like,
it's not
copy and paste.
Commandments.
Yeah, it is not copy and paste.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not yet. Well, maybe we'll get there one day.
Well, I mean, this might be a good time to talk about this die right here, because it's mentioned in that thing. So, I've been on this quest, and let me go back a second. Most bench rest shooters, and I think if I recall correctly, you had a podcast about it, that run out doesn't make any difference, and so all the bench rest shooters thought that because we seat our bullets into the lands, that would allow the bullet to start down the rifling straight. But we found out I have found out with ejectors in the guns, and without the ejectors, I can get my guns to group differently, and we've got real light ejectors where it just barely drops the case out of the gun. I mean, you'll see this doesn't throw the case very far. This will just size in this die here. So you can see it just drops it out of the gun right there. It's not launching it, hitting you in the face with it. So we have real light ejectors, yet that real light ejector spring is still holding that case, especially if you're seating the bullets off the lands. It's canning it into the chamber, And so that bullet, it starts out like this and then like that, It's leaning on one side opposite the ejector, And so for the guys that jump, well, that becomes even more critical, because it really doesn't start their bullets down straight. So, like I said, the bench rest community, or maybe I'm just one of them, has never seemed to give all that much attention to what the loaded round was. So with the bushing dies, and I had a pretty good hand in starting those things. I started to notice a long time ago that if I didn't clean my dies out consistently, that lube that is scraped off when you run that neck through the bushing starts to migrate into the area where the bushing lives, and it'll start to harden up, and it'll push the bushing off to one side, and then little by little everything you run through there, the body's straight, but it's making the neck slightly offset, you know. You could probably prove that with your coordinate measuring machine too, you know. So I got to the point where I always clean my bushing before every match, make sure there's no junk in there, you know. And even after the first day of practice and before I went to the next match the next morning, I take my bushings down and clean it all out real well just to make sure that my bushing continued to float. Well, you know, that got to be kind of a pain in the rear, especially if you're in a match where there's only one relay. You're trying to do a lot of things and don't have enough time to do it. So we made some just one-piece dies that sizes the neck, you know, going back just opposite of what the bushings were, you know.
Right.
So we started to dictate the diameter of the neck initially, and and you probably heard us talk about happy brass, where we see that sine wave on the brass. It's also written in Tony Boyer's book, and that sine wave forms with about 3,000 worth of clearance on. That's when you first start to see it. When it first starts out, you'll see a black ring on the mouth of the case. When you've got minimum clearance, about 1,000, thousandths and a half. And when you get to about 3,000 or 1,000ths and a half per side, you'll see that sine wave form. Once you get to about 4,000ths and beyond, you'll start to see that a black ring at the junction of the neck and the shoulder, and you'll start to see some sooting on the shoulder of the case itself too. You know, so that's saying you've got plenty of bullet release at that form, you know, at that point, but it's not necessary, that 3,000. So what we're doing with the 269 necks that we're shooting, we're saying we start to turn our brass, we see the bullet in it, and we see what the thickness of that neck is at that point. Then we adjust our neck turners so that our loaded round is 3,000ths under our loaded round or our chamber dimension. So we say that the neck diameter should be 236.6 to 236.63. We're giving you 10,000 or 3/10,000ths plus. That's 3,000ths under or to about 2.7 thousandths, you know. And at that point, you'll have that sine wave on every cartridge. I wish I hadn't wiped those cartridges off that we sized earlier, but you could have seen it. And you'll see once that brass starts to wear and your neck starts to thin out, you'll see that sine wave start to disappear. You start to see more carbon form at the base of the neck and the junction of the shoulder. And then if you continue to shoot that, you'll start to see that soot starting to, you know, migrate down onto the shoulder. So another thing that we wanted was to eliminate those clickers. So we changed the way that we made our sizing reamers. I gave you the print, this die that Eric just made for me after how many months have I been whining for this thing? You can see his face. It's been a while. But anyway, this die is a full-length size die. It sizes the neck down to the shoulder. It sizes the body. And it sizes the base of the case in a real similar manner to what the roll sizer does. You know, it's to eliminate clickers. It's to allow us to, you know, throw this. I want to look. Might be a bad idea if I threw this loaded round in there. I'd probably blow a hole through your monitor. There's a empty case that we ran through Eric's die, and it just easy. Yeah. Yeah. And when you shoot it, there's no clickers. You know. And this one right here is a sizes the neck 3,000. So the program is we turn our brass to it's within 3,000ths of our chamber dimensions, our neck dimensions in the chamber, and then we size 3,000ths below that. So this die is a 263. What we do also in bench rest, since we don't have time to anneal, there's some shooters like Jeff Pinehart, who you probably use some of his brass. It's all been annealed and all at the night for it. He comes with what? How many? 200-300 pieces of brass.
Yeah, he had a bunch.
It's all prepped, so all you have.
So they don't. We I'm sure I'm not giving away any of his secrets. But yeah, we never reloaded the same piece twice.
Right. Yeah,
he comes with it, and then what we did is the brass that you just shot.
Right.
We would size it, get it ready, and put in another box and then take the ones that were ready to go, load those, and then we would just size them and put them away so that they're ready for the next go around.
For next time, yep. So anyway, what we do, since we don't have time to anneal, we start off with another die that's a half thousandths larger than this in the neck diver, so it'd be a 263.5. And then, since we can't anneal, don't have the time to anneal, after about 4 or 5 firings, our necks start to work harden. And then at that point, when they start to work hard, when you size them, they spring back out pretty quickly. And you start losing the neck tension that you developed your load with on that case. So once that starts to happen, then I have 2 presses set up, one with a 263.5 and then one with a 263. So I just switch from one press to the other and start sizing brass with the 263.
Now, what you just described is the reason we have a micrometer on our bushing dies.
Right.
It's because it also changes, if you don't anneal, even if you anneal, the amp kind of fixes that. But as the brass ages, it springs back differently.
Right.
And you had to reset the die. So that's where our micro adjustable full-length sizing die helps with that shoulder bump, because as the brass ages, you're going to need to change it.
Yeah, and so you're oversizing the necks and then expanding them up with a mandrel, So we're not using a mandrel in this situation.
Correct.
And then
that's because you guys are neck turning. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Right, you're using a lot of times unturned brass. So.
Yeah, so an unturned brass, you take all the inconsistencies.
Yeah, from the outside.
Take them to the inside. So then you got to push them back out.
Yeah.
You guys, that brass has been prepped to perfection. So there's no inconsistencies in or out. So it doesn't matter as long as you get the size right.
Yeah, and then so that's step one to ensure minimum run out of your load around. The next one is, we're used to using Wilson cedars and all that, and they've got like a factory Sammy neck in those dies, And we're using a cedar now where the neck diameter is 1/1000 larger than what our own. So right now, the neck diameter of my cedar, my loaded round is a 266 to 266.3. The neck in my cedar is a 267. So that's everything you do, because when you start a bullet into the case, when you've got all that room like in a Wilson, and those dies have a little play in them, when you seat that bullet in there, that bullet can start out canted like that, and then you're seating it in there and it causes the run out. I can take my standard cedar and have a cartridge, when you spin it, it's got nothing on it, and I'll seat a bullet in that, and you'll start seeing run out. We go to the one that's got the 1/1000 larger than neck diameter. It's got 0 run out,
Yeah.
I had my concentricity checker there at the shop, and Kevin was out there, and I said, "Here, let me show you what a loaded round's coming out with this on this, And we put in there, and it's, other than spinning it and that, the needle just always comes right back to within about 10,
Yeah.
So, all these things we're seeing makes a difference. So that's that blueprint that I've been trying to come up with is, you can do any one of these. If you want to use a Wilson cedar, go right ahead. I don't care,
Yeah.
It's not my job to convince you to do anything, But I'm trying to show you, just like you're trying to show, your readers and viewers, that these things work, and they've taken me to the World Championship. They've taken me to the Hall of Fame. It's not that I'm just doing this for fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting.
But anyway, I said, when do you think those are going to be available to the viewers?
The dice?
Yeah.
Well, are you a viewer? You got one right there?
I already got one, so sorry, guys.
Put it on top of the cap there.
Right there.
Please. The other way. Oh, yeah, it's got a stem. Yeah.
Well, I can fix that.
Yeah. Back it off.
So this one says 6 PPC, 263 neck.
Well, I guess
I'm going to take the cap off of it.
I guess we.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to do this, because I like to have a pre-order for these, because these are custom, but I don't want to charge the custom price, or we don't have to charge the custom price if we do a run of them,
right?
And say, hey, okay, well, so maybe I'm trying to figure out how we do this. I might put them on the website for people to go and pre-order.
Pre-order them.
And then we'll make a run of them, and then maybe we'll make a monthly run. I don't know, depending on the demand. Maybe we can make them every month or so.
Well, these right here, I think the initial ones we're going to make are going to be based on the 269 neck. You know, if somebody wants a copy.
I'm gonna make a run for you, however many you think you and your friends need, your shooting buddies, and then like I said, I'll make a few extras. But from there on, you know, we'll make them on a monthly basis on that kind of just so that we can build up enough to set up the machine. And
I'll also send you my 269 print, because I think that's the only way we're going to be able to offer some of this, since it's semi-custom. You know, you can't have a guy once I got 261 neck. This guy got 262 neck.
Well, that's the thing, right? So that's what I'm getting at. It's
well, we'll offer them for the 269.
Now
neck.
we can make it custom.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody wants something different, well, we offer a custom die option on the website already. If they want something different, then you're gonna have to pay custom.
What does a custom die cost? This one?
It's $400 something. It's over $400. Right. But that's what I mean. We're trying to keep this one below that. I guess the semi-custom route. And
well, I'll send you my 269 print to print with that.
Okay.
With that article right there, and that way,
we'll make a few of each. So this is set up for what?
269 neck.
This is for 269.
Correct. So that's your loaded round will be 266 to 266.
Okay, when you're saying you send me the print, you mean the chamber print?
Correct.
So that people, if they want to chamber their
a reamer.
Got it.
And I'll go ahead and approve it for at JGS, because typically with JGS, if you want a copy of my reamer, they're going to have to call and ask permission. I'll go tell them this particular reamer, whoever wants it is welcome to have it. That way,
is this the reamer that you just won the small group?
Right.
That's what happened. You turned off the airplane mode.
Sorry, we're gonna put it back on airplane mode.
So this is the reamer that you just shot. You set a new record at the Tack Driver with.
Yeah.
And you're gonna give it away.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you.
I
was hoping you give me a
turn off airplane mode. I'm gonna send it to you right now. So.
Well, I was hoping you
right now.
Okay, that's going on the forum as well, guys. If you're not a forum member, here's what you get. This is the stuff that you get. Oftentimes we don't even announce it. I just put it over there, and man, they can have at it. If you haven't become a member of the forum, you may consider doing that. There's Speedy at work. Hey, where'd I get one of those caps at?
Which one?
Like the one you're wearing.
Well, you have to be a member of the Hall of Fame.
So how does that work? Like, I mean, I'm sure you don't have just one. Like, let's say in 2 years you want another one. How does that work?
Well, I mean, I can call and order another one, but
like, do they verify? I guess is what I'm getting at. Do they verify? Okay, who is this?
The Hall of Fame will send you one. Just like we have our Hall of Fame jackets and our Hall of Fame hoodies.
What I'm getting at is, what if you want another one? Like right now, if you say, I need another cap.
I just call and get one.
Do they verify who you are?
You buy it from our Hall of Fame director.
Yeah, so he verifies that you are indeed a Hall of Fame member.
Yeah. Dang. This is true.
I was going to order one.
I was wondering where it went earlier, and I saw Eric walking around with it.
All right. Can you give them to others?
No.
These are all right. Here. Okay. Here. I understand that you don't want people wearing these caps. I get it. 100%. Can you order me one and sign it, and I'll hang it here? I'm not gonna wear it. This is like a.
I'll have to ask.
Ask that and see if they, because I don't want to wear it. I just want a Hall of Fame cap with your name on it, and then perhaps I can take it around with me to now that I'm gonna be attending some of these bench rest shoots.
Yeah,
and I'll start getting it signed by as many Hall of Fame members as possible. As
well, I will.
So
see
if I can. I'm not gonna wear it.
Get you one, I'll get you one.
I'm not gonna wear it. That's the reason I want it. Yes, I think it'd be cool for me to have a cap with as many Hall of Fame members on there. Signature.
That would be cool. Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Okay. Anything else?
Let me send this to you real quick before I lose it. Cortina.
All right, barrel length. You said you're running bar lines?
Yeah, it's a bar line. It's a 6 millimeter gain twist. It's just like all my other barrels. It's a 5 groove, similar to what Wayne Campbell's shooting. It's a 13.65 to 13.5 gain. So it's a tenth and a half gain. One of the things I've noticed about gain twist barrels as opposed to other barrels is when you need that little extra to win, it seems like it makes them all like a little mini Hummer barrel, That's the best description I have. Kind of funny story was we're out there at Tack Driver and we're on the last match and Wayne and I are shooting side by side, cheek to cheek. I'm left hand, he's right handed, and we're waiting for the condition. And Wayne says, if you shoot in a good group, you'll break my record and win the group in the Tack Driver. I don't mean to put any pressure on you right in the middle of shooting. So this is a Scarborough stock here, carbon Kevlar. Got a Bixen Andy trigger, one of the new ones. Have the Pine Heart one-piece rings on this one. These are Scott Haywood's scope caps. I made them yellow just kind of to match the yellow jacket right here. A Bucky's tuner. This is that rubber that I was telling you about right here. It's just another 10.5 pound gun. I mean, that's what I shot at the Tack Driver. So I have to wait of what your gun was.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, Wayne Campbell, because he wasn't the only one coming up to you and going, "Oh, Speedy, you're doing really well.
Yeah.
If you shoot one more small group, you might win this thing.
Right.
Hey, Speedy, just keep it. They just kept talking about it, and then you would just smile and go, "Guys, you're not gonna."
Like I said, when I have some of the people I shoot with, and one of my Padawans, Kevin Love, at the time, I always tell them, first you have to learn how to shoot, and that's getting your entire program set correctly, learning how to tune your rifle, and keep it in tune. And then once you've got all that and understand how, because this is a sum of the whole right here, just like that. Just like you're a great competitor. You understand rifles, and as soon as you sit down behind a gun that's not right, that this is going to be a hard weekend. You don't have to have a big explanation. Nobody tell you. And I'm sure that like me, you have those same people tell you, "Man, Eric, one more score like that, and you got this. All you need is 10x or whatever. And so you have to learn how to focus on what you're doing and just put that stuff like it doesn't mean anything, So usually I've gotten to the point where it's just another condition to me. Just like when I sit down and I see the wind blowing, it's just, how am I going to approach this, So.
Yeah, it's a range condition when people are coming up to you and saying, "Hey, we got one more." It's like, "Yeah, sure, okay, whatever."
Usually the more they say that, the more focused I am on going and improving them. A funny story was when we were out at the shoot in Midland over the summer, the Texas State Championships, the end of it. I had my gun just go off. I mean, the two guys. They were shooting. My condition was coming. I loaded when I was getting ready to shoot, and then it just instantly died off, And I sat up like this to see if that condition was coming back or if it had let it complete. I was going to take the round out of my gun, I wasn't touching the gun. I was sitting up just like this. And then these two guys beside me, they both shot exactly the same time. My gun just went off. Wow. It almost fell out of my bags when it recoiled. Wow. And I looked in there, and that shot, so I was just sitting there like that. And so I said, well, there goes the Texas State 3 gun. There goes the Texas State 4 gun. All this work for nothing. So I didn't even have nothing to do with it this time, Yeah. And so I go up there, and I'm looking at the stats, and the guy comes and goes, damn, Speedy, I haven't seen you that far down the totem pole all year long, you know. And I was sitting there on my phone, and he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to see what I need to shoot on my last group to get back in the running to win that 3-gun or 4-gun. And
so you
goes,
had,
what do you need?
Let me clarify. Yeah. So you already had a few shots on the target?
I had 3. I had 3 just in a little hole.
And then that other one went.
Yeah, so I had my very first group at 100 yards was 0.
Mm-hmm.
And so then next one was okay. And next one, that third one was the killer right there, you know.
What size was that group?
1/2 inch, 498. So that's like everybody getting to shoot 5 groups and you have to shoot 6, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm figuring out what I need to shoot, you know. And he goes, well, what do you need to shoot to get back in a run? And I said, a 0. So
a 0 is always the answer.
Yeah, he said, so, well, that's pretty cocky thinking you just walk up to that last target and shoot a 0 at will.
Well, again, this is like we talked about earlier. It's an average game, right?
Yeah.
If you shoot a 0, now it's like you didn't shoot that one.
Right.
Right.
So anyway, he said, how small is it? I said, an 0.99 will do it, you know. So anyway, I never put pressure on my shooting. Like I say, I'm just trying not to shoot any big groups, you know, and I don't try to shoot little ones, you know. And so I walked up to the line, and so I knew I had to shoot a little one. And then Dwight Habe, a friend of mine, walks up and I said, what are you doing? He goes, I want to see you shoot that 0. You know, like, right. And so, I mean, I sat down, I saw my condition, and in first 20 seconds of the match, I was done. And I get up, he goes, well, and I said, I think that 0 is smaller than my first one. So it wound up being a 085, you know.
Wow.
My first one was 078.
Wow.
And that put me second in the 2-gun there, which I wasn't too concerned about winning, but it gave me the 3-gun and the 4-gun again, you know.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised here because you go, well, the first one's a 0. Like it's a given. Like it's a 0. That's a given because it was in the morning.
Well, that weekend I shot. You know, it's something to shoot a 0 at all. And that weekend I shot 3 there. I shot that 10-shot 0 on Saturday. Shot TNAG with that same chamber, and that's following the same blueprint right here. And then I shot 2 more 0s that next day.
Yeah, for people that don't understand what a 0 is, that's 5 shots, center to center, and less than 100,000ths of an inch. So starts with a 0.
Mm-hmm.
0, 99,
yeah.
0, 89.
Well, like I said, that was the only way I could offset that that big group right there, was like to negate half that group, you know.
Yeah. Wow. That's
anything above that, I would have been in second place. in the 3-gun and the 4-gun.
Yeah, so it's crazy, right? Because in order to start winning or to win, you almost have to not care about winning.
Well, that's a real good statement, because that I often don't. Well, you said earlier that you don't look at anything until the end. It doesn't make any difference.
Well, if I win, they'll let me know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing good, they're like, hey, man, you don't have to go look at anything. Yeah, in that case, I had to go see what my aggregate was to see what I had to do, I think it would probably been easier for me to shoot, knowing that I needed to shoot 0 than a 150. Because a 150 is kind of sloppy,
Right. Yeah, and, when you're doing well, people are always coming, like you said, people are coming up to you like, keep it up, man, and I think they mean well, but you just never know.
Yeah.
Because it's real simple.
Yeah. There's gamesmanship, too. Those guys will come and mess with you.
That's where I was going with this. Like, listen, let's be honest. Everybody wants you to do well, just not better than them.
Yeah.
It's right. Everybody wants to win.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at some point, they realize they're out of it, and then they start cheering for somebody, right? And maybe you, but they'll come up to you and say, "Hey, man, keep it up. You got this." And then they walk over to whoever's second place and go, "Hey, buddy, you got this." And you're like, "All right." Exactly. They're just being nice now. I don't know. And so at some point, you just gotta do your thing, and it's either going to be good enough or it's not.
You have to learn how to win. Whether you play golf. I mean, I don't think you're your mental game changes any when you're playing golf than when you're shooting. It's
precisely why I started playing golf, is to strengthen my mental game.
Right.
Because, shooting, we don't shoot that often. And even when we shoot, we don't put ourselves in a position of winning 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So the stress level is not always there. Now, golf, especially being new at it, and again, it's a limitless sport.
Mm-hmm.
There's you're
how good do you want to be?
I mean, the lowest you can shoot is an 18.
Yeah.
That's 18 hole-in-ones.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of pressure, right? And it's a lot of, you have to perform under pressure. And it's, anyway, so I like it because of the mental game.
And that, you've always got somebody watching you,
Yeah, and I compete, even in anything that I do. Like, I started playing golf. Mm-hmm. I'm playing tournaments. Why? Because I want that pressure. That's what I'm there for.
Yeah.
I want to be able to perform under pressure.
Yeah, well, I like that pressure. Usually, the more pressure I've got, the better I shoot. The more you tell me that I'm just one more, well, okay.
But here's the thing, right? I feel more pressure when I'm trying to win with a big gun.
Yeah.
When you're doing well, that means you have a good rifle. The pressure of the rifle is out. You don't have to worry about it. That in itself is, and as far as me performing, that's not what I'm worried about. Mm-hmm. It's typically like, and like you said, the first few shots, if it's going to be a long week, because if the rifle is not cooperating, you're in trouble. It doesn't matter how good of a shooter you are. You can have Tony Boyer, Wayne Campbell, Pinehart, yourself, anybody.
Yeah.
You can bring some of the top shooters in the sport, and you give them a bad rifle, they're not winning. I don't care what people say. Oh, so and so can win with it, but no, they cannot.
No, they cannot.
It just because it's not. The shooter knows what to do. They know where to aim it. Okay, the wind just picked up. The flag just went. I need to move over 2 bullet holes. They move over 2 bullet holes, and then the rifle shoots it half an inch above that. How?
You can't do anything.
You can't do anything about that. So,
even Kevin came by the shop sometime earlier this year, and on a Sunday, and he asked me what I was doing. I had my guns out and everything. That's why I'm getting ready for our club match. And like, you're getting ready a week before, because most people just grab their stuff, maybe get it ready on Saturday evening and throw it in their car Sunday and go. I mean, to me, that club match is just as much as I'm going to the world championship. They say, are you going to shoot your good barrel? Or you shoot your good bullet? I said, I don't know how to do anything else. I don't care. Like I said, I'm not going to drag. You see how much stuff we have? So I'm not going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, load all that crap in my car to go play.
Yeah.
I want to, like Wayne Campbell says, inflict pain on you.
Yeah.
Just as much in the club match as I want to do when you drive to the Tack Driver. It just, I don't know any other way to play the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an interesting mindset that you have to, and it's not easy. Mm. It's not easy convincing yourself that it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what do you get out of it? Okay, Speedy won a club match.
I know.
Oh, well.
It's just your own personal gratification,
right? And it's just a mindset.
So the club matches give me the opportunity to test guns against other guns.
Right.
So and so if this. And I let the gun do most of the work, When I go to a club match, sometimes I'll just hold dead center all the time because I think this is that good a barrel. If I hold dead center and it beats all these other guys who are working at it, well, then this is a barrel that's ready to go to competition,
Well, sometimes if they're working at it and they're not doing it properly, they're doubling the size of the groups.
Yeah. When I was testing that Majesta scope, we took it out there to New Braunfels. Mind you, it's only 500 yards.
Yeah.
But I had gone and got a dead air zero at the Mission Ridge, indoors. And when we went to 500, I was just holding dead center. I just want to see how good that Majesta would hold a point of aim. Uh-huh. First match, 220 X's. Next one, 219 X's. Then I was never holding off of dead center. And then the last one, the wind fight, you could see the group starting to shift to because of aerodynamic jump. down to about 5 o'clock where the wind was coming from, you know.
Right.
And finally lost a 10 out there to a 9, you know.
Yeah.
And the last one, it was a 199, 17 exits, you know. And I wouldn't do nothing. I was just seeing what the scope would do, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like I said, when you have a good rifle, my
almost
goodness.
had you wreck if I hadn't dropped it.
Yeah, you know how many times I've heard that. I almost had you.
I know you worry about sleep at night. I can't sleep knowing they're gonna break my record.
Yeah, no wonder I couldn't sleep that day. That's what it was. I just had this feeling like
Speedy might break my record out there.
Oh, you know that 7 Claymore. Going back to it. Now we know how it shot. I don't even know what the ag was. It was sub half MOA. I know that. I mean, you can look it up, but I know what it is. Yeah. I mean, my worst was about half MOA, so and my best was 1 inch.
Yeah.
So it was somewhere around the point, whatever. It's probably around 0.4 MOA. Yeah. Yours was 0.2. Probably about double what you did. It doesn't matter. The point that I'm getting at is I'm gonna start. This is a new cartridge, new everything. I'm gonna take this again on the forum. I'm gonna start trying to see how small I can get this thing to shoot. Yeah. Right. I may have, right now it's a no turn chamber. I'm going to see how far I can take that one. I'm going to order a turn reamer and then at some point see how good I can get it. Then I'm going to order a turn reamer and then I'm just going to sit this barrel back possibly. Mm-hmm. And then just continue just to see how, maybe change bullets, powders, just kind of like we do when we start with a new cartridge, right? Which is the reason I hate changing because you got to explore everything. You got to get to know this
powder, primers.
So I'm going to test all that stuff and see how good I can get it to shoot. And then now I will know if it's going to be competitive next year. If not, then I can switch gears. But I think it's going to be fun and interesting for the members to see me explore and take a cartridge that's shooting okay and see how much I can wring out of it. For competition,
right?
Especially being 300 meters, because it's some of the things may not apply like they apply to long range. Like pointing bullets is probably not as critical at 300 meters, but I don't know. I'll find out.
Yeah, that was like us or me, rather trying to see that ignore that concentricity.
Right.
Every match that I just loaded with my bushing die, and I've got a full carbide size dies, wire. We just like with the bullet making dies, it's solid carbide,
Yeah.
And
so I'm gonna
carbide bushings in it. It's got a custom made press for it, and the run out on it compared to this die you made right here is just night and day.
Well, I'm gonna test all that, and I'm gonna see how much. I may have to try for 300 meters. I may have to try slower twist, maybe lighter bullets. I don't know, because I'm going to stay with a 7mm for now. I just want to see how good I can get the Claymore to shoot. It's going to be a project that I think is going to be fun for people for myself, because I haven't done that in a while, because we kind of have the other ones figured out.
Yeah,
I want to see how good I can get this thing to go. Now, back in the day at Bayou, I set not a national record, but a range record. Of 600 with 49 X's. I was the first one to shoot a 600 at 300 yards.
Yeah.
I did it with a
shooting.
I did it with a 6.547 Lapua at the time. Now I don't know what it is. It's probably close to 60 X's. It's crazy. But the point is, I may have to start going back to TSRA and shooting, not TSRA, but CTSA.
Yeah.
And shooting that match, taking this rifle and just
refining it out there,
refining it, and just compete with it at 500 and just
because you can see things that happen at shorter distances that you can attribute to conditions or mirage or a lot.
Yeah, because I want to be able to.
Well, they have benches out there now too, so you can shoot with.
Well, I might. You know what? I may start going to these bench rest matches with you, because I got to shoot off a bench.
You ordered some jackets. I told you I'll make you some bullets.
Yeah, well, not for 7mm. I'm gonna see how far I can take the 7.
You used to have 7mm die. Sold them all.
Yeah, tell you what. But anyway, it's always interesting. It's always fun to chase something new.
Yeah, well, I think
it's not new. This is just different.
I think the viewers would like to go on that ride. See how you start from scratch.
I believe so.
I told Eric that I've got a Scoville stock. This is Scarborough that we could put his Black Knight, not the Black Knight XD, into, where he could build a similar gun and test a glued-in gun with a stock that's designed for the bench, as opposed to shooting a stock that's designed for the rest on the ground. They're completely different guns. You know, these are lower CG. They react different in the bags than those other ones do. So, well, if he wants to build it, I'll stock it for him.
There you go. Well, that's an option. I'm going to see how small I can
get a heavy varmint barrel.
I'm going to see how deep I can get this one to go into the ones, hopefully zeros, and go from there.
One thing that we mentioned that a lot of guys have been doing since that last podcast, when we were talking about, you know, everybody measures base to tip, base to ogive, some bearing surface. You know, we were talking about measuring those diameters of bullets. I mean, there's a bunch of the F-class guys around here that are realizing that these bullets aren't all the same from lot to lot. You know, some are bigger, some are nominal size, and some are undersized. You know, and that relates to pressure. You know,
right?
And just like the one gentleman I had whose gun just completely quit shooting. They were just shooting, and I asked if I could mention his name. He told me he'd prefer I didn't, but.
It's amazing how he probably shot like half a away, and it's embarrassing. It's like, no, don't mention my name.
But anyway, the gun just completely quit shooting, and I asked him, I said, well, what did you change? And he said, I didn't change anything. And I said, well, he said, can you check the gun again? And I'm going down Laredo. He lives out in Midland, I said, well, bring it, but bring all the stuff, because he didn't know anything about reloading. I set up his prices and dies and everything, and so when he brought his stuff into the shop, he brings in 2 boxes of the 180 hybrids, you know. And I said, we didn't need that many bullets to check it. He said, no, this is the lot that I was shooting, and this is the new lot that I got. I said, well, I thought you didn't change anything.
He did change something. Okay, there you go. So that's the funny thing. Sorry to interrupt, but they think because they're shooting the same bullet, that there was no change. Right. If you change anything, lot numbers, anything, then you have to keep track of any changes. Right. I mean, anything. Because if there's any problems, you can always go, oh, it was working. This happened. It's not working, or it's not working as good. You know.
All right. So anyways, I said, well, I thought you didn't change it. Well, I did. There's still the 180 hybrids, you know. And I said, well, no, look at this box. Look at this lot number here. And this, so the difference, I went and got my indicator, my primer, my 284 Deltronic pin, set that on 0, he had like 6 bullets left of the original one. They measured on the pressure ring, you know, right where the boat tail meets the body. They measured 284, 6 or 7. And then on the body, there were 284, 2 or 3. Yeah, about 50, 100, or to 100 thousandths above the pressure ring. And I said, let me see some of those other ones. On the pressure ring, they were 283, 8 and 9, almost a full thousandths under. And on the body, they were 283, 5 and 6. And I said, well, there's the problem. I said, it's a difference in pressure, you know. And so I said, when you bought this gun and all this gem and stuff, he had 3 bushings in there, and right now you're using a 3,000 neck tension on it. There's a 4 and a 5 in there. I said, go back, load 10 more with this, so you have a benchmark. You know, we know it don't shoot. You know, then I said, the only thing you can do at this point, since you don't have any other bullets, just try a different neck tension, or we'll have to go up in powder something. Try this just first.
Get the pressure up again.
And so he put a 4,000 and a 5,000 load, 10 rounds with each one, and the 4,000 just brought it right back to life. You know. So, you know, it's just another gauge that people don't measure, is those diameter of those bullets. And in bench press, we take it for granted since we make our own bullets.
Well, technically, you don't have to measure it as long as you don't change them.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you're going to work up a load for that one. If it's shooting happy, then you don't need to measure anything. It's when you go to change it.
Right.
But then again, you know, the chronograph can tell you a lot. You change it, like you say, you have this.
That one?
Well, you just have this benchmark, right?
Right.
You're like, okay, I have 10 of these. You shoot them. You know, let's just say your speed is 2,900, your average speed. Then you shoot the next ones and they're 2,880.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, they're skinnier. I can tell you they're skinnier because they're going slower.
Right.
Well, guess what? Bump up the powder charge until they go back up to 2,900. It should be fine.
Yeah.
And then you're done, right? But you have to keep track of anything that you change.
That's what I tell everybody. I said, if you got one barrel, buy enough bullets, powder, and primers to wear that barrel out, and then you can start over again.
What do you think? What do you think about new barrel, new powder, new brass?
New barrels?
New brass. I used to hear that a lot, and that just popped up on my feed the other day. Somebody was asking about. It may have been on the forum. Said new brass, new barrel. What do you guys think? I said, well, I'll see what you have to say.
Well, there was standard practices in bench rest that you had to shoot your brass 1 or 2 times before you would put it into a match, And if I recall from your podcast, I think Jeff Pinehart mentioned he took brand new brass that he had just reformed from 6 Grendel and shot them at the World Championships, And I think you made a comment.
That may have been Bart Souter.
Huh?
That may have been Bart Souter.
No, I think it's
one of those guys.
I think it was Jeff Pinehart because he said, well, you asked him what his teammates thought about that, you're shooting brand new brass.
Okay.
You have to go watch your podcast.
Yeah, it's
I'm almost 100% positive that was it. But so, with the old 220 Russian brass, we had a Fireform gun that we call Fat Girl, just because everything's big on it. It's just stuff that we cabbage together to Fireform brass, and got a big haul action, big massive action, big 2-inch 350 barrel on it. Big, I don't know what the stock went to, probably a long range bench rest gun, and we just threw it together, Fireform brass in. So from that gun, I can take that Fireform brass and go into the match the next day and be competitive. Never having fired it once other than forming the brass. With the Alpha brass, we have to shoot it one time at a lower pressure. So we shoot this at 29.1 one time to season that brass. I guess that'd be a good way to go. And if you don't do that, you'll be blowing primers.
Well, yeah. What I'm asking is...
but after that, it's ready to go.
What I'm asking is, for example, let's say somebody has a 284 Psalm, whatever, and they have brass for it, and then they go get another barrel chamber with the same reamer, same everything.
Yeah.
And the gunsmith says, new barrel, you got to replace all the brass.
Oh, that's bullshit.
That's
bullshit. I've been using this. I got 200 pieces of Alpha brass. And I'm still using brass from my first box. I still have half this box of it's turned. It's just sitting in my box there. I haven't even used it yet.
Yeah. Well, that's my experience.
Until I see that sine wave disappear, that's when I get rid of it.
Yeah, that's my... see, now you took it off of airplane mode again.
Just for you, Eric. It's your fault. It's back on airplane.
So, yeah, I mean, if you have the same reamer... If you have a good gunsmith, you should never have to.
Yeah, I can take brass from this gun, put it in my other gun, vice versa.
Well, that's what I do. I have multiple barrels, and I like to prep 1,000 pieces of brass at a time because typically in the winter it's a lot of work, but I prep it all, and then it just follows the rotation, and I rotate that brass. That's kind of why I told you I don't want to take 150, take them to the
Tack Driver,
take them out of rotation, but they follow the same rotation. They go from, I have 2 drawers in my toolbox. This one is to be fired, and this is fired.
Right.
It goes from the top shelf or the top drawer. I load it. When they're fired, they go to the bottom one. Yeah. When the bottom one's full, they
start the rotation over again.
They switch them, and then they go anyway. But yeah, I mean, I rotate the same brass through multiple barrels.
Right. Well, I do too.
Yeah.
This year, from the beginning of the year until the match in Lubbock, I shot the same 40 pieces of brass in all the guns I had. It just went from one gun to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, Yeah. And all those zeros I shot was with brass that had been shot all year long in 3 or 4 different guns.
Yeah. Well, again, it just comes down to... you have a good gunsmith. It's
that's one of the biggest problems. People. That's why I always tell people, get your own reamer. Find a guy who can make your barrels same time after time after time. That's what you do. I do.
Well, I learned from you. That was one of the questions that I asked when I first came to you. I said, "Hey, why do I have to get new brass every time?" You're like, you don't.
I don't.
Anyway, that was
the only reason I used to have to change brass because I would wreck it. And I think Feinhardt said in that same video of yours that at the pressures he shoots, he wrecks his brass and has to toss it.
Yeah, no, I get that. But anyway, all right, boss.
This stuff is great with Alpha.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for just giving us as many secrets as you can. And I know you got plenty more, so we got to have you back.
Well, same to you. I said it was a pleasure shooting with you out there at the Tack Driver. I can't wait till next year. It was, like I said, it's a super competitive match, but it's so much fun that it's. Yeah,
I would invite the viewers to shoot the match, but they can't.
I had 3 of my students come out there, and they were just going to come out for one day. Spent all 3 days out there visiting with people and learning, asking about how you do this, how you do that.
Yeah.
You've got the best shooters in the world. You've got the best gunsmiths in the world, and they're all there, and there's time, especially with 7 relays to talk,
Yeah, but you can actually come out there and watch.
Yeah.
Like you can come out
bring
there,
bring your spot scope,
hang out. And it's set up your spotting scope, talk. It's a nice gathering of.
Yeah, it's almost like going to the Kentucky Derby or something, watching the horses race. It's like they post all the targets and you see all the people happy. And
as I hadn't considered this, but as a spectator, it would be fun. Because then you can then you'd be kind of checking the scores every time and see kind of how you guys doing and see who's moving up. Yeah, that would be interesting as a spectator.
Yeah. So they had a ball, and since they were there, how they registered with the people, they got a chance to register for next year.
There you go.
So come out, watch, and then register for next year is a good way to get in quick.
Exactly. All righty, Speedy. Thank you very much. Thanks for all the secrets. And if you're on the forum, my goodness, you just lucked out because you're going to get some good info.
I can't wait to do it anytime Eric invites me out here. I'm always out here because this is almost like the Tack Driver for me. It's just fun being with Eric and sharing, our shooting experience with each other and with you guys. Keep them small. That's all.
That's all. Later.